Senator Coons, thank you very much. Good to have you with us tonight.
Great to be with you again, Martha.
So let's put the shoe on the other foot for a moment here. Let's assume that Hillary Clinton had won the election, that right now she is president of the United States, and that, just for the sake of argument, President Trump is a candidate again, and he has decided to run against her. Judge Ginsburg passes away on September 18th. Judge Ginsburg passes away September 18th, and Hillary Clinton's the president. And she risks losing the presidency. Would you be encouraging her to go ahead and try to fill that seat before the election?
Well, two things. I would be pointing out to her that it's never happened that this close to an election, just 41 days before an election, when half of the states in our country are already voting for president, that a president has moved forward with filling that seat. President Abraham Lincoln is one of just two that had a vacancy this close to the election, and he declined to fill that seat. But I would also tell her that whoever that successor is going to preside over some very important decisions. As you know, just a week after the election, the Supreme Court will hear the Affordable Care Act case, and nothing could more put Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's legacy on the record.
Okay, so that sounds like you would be convincing her to go ahead because there's so much at stake. That sounds like you would convince her to go ahead because there's so much at stake over people.
I just left the steps of the Supreme Court where I paid my respects to Justice Ginsburg. She was a fighter for gender equity, and the Affordable Care Act protects every woman in America against discrimination based on being a woman. And in the middle of a pandemic, President Trump and the 18 states that are suing in the Supreme Court are trying to take away health care protections from half of all Americans.
All right, so I'm going to take that as an argument that you would make to a President Hillary Clinton, that it was a desperate situation and that she should definitely fill that seat if she had the ability to do so. I want to ask you about, there's already, we don't know who the nominee is going to be, but Amy Coney Barrett's name is definitely at the top of the list, it would appear. We know that the president's meeting with Barbara Lagoa on Friday as well. You are a Christian man. You're a graduate of Yale Divinity School. Do you believe that a person's faith is fair game for questions in these hearings?
There is no and should be no religious test for serving in the United States. That's in our Constitution. And I think we should conduct our questioning of nominees in front of us in as respectful but appropriate a way as we can. My concern here is that we shouldn't be moving forward with hearings at all. And so, frankly, I'm more concerned with the damage that racing through a partisan confirmation just 41 days before the election will do to the court, to our Senate, and to our country. What I hear from Delawareans, Martha, is if we've still got 40 days, why aren't we moving ahead with a COVID relief package? Several major CEOs just today came out and said, dedicate your time to a COVID relief package, to those negotiations.
Well, I think a lot of people would love to see that, and a lot of people know that there are Republicans and Democrats who agree on quite a bit in the middle ground and would love to see that accomplished as well. But I want to go back to this question of faith in these hearings, because I think it is likely to come up, because Senator Feinstein, when she was speaking with Judge Barrett in the past, she brought up her Catholicism, and she said that she was that the dogma lived deeply within her, and she looked very concerned about that. She's the ranking Democrat member on your committee. Do you have confidence that she is not going to raise that? As you just said, it should not be a factor this time around?
Look, I have a lot of respect for Senator Feinstein and for her leadership of our caucus on the committee. I'm going to be urging my colleagues to first make it clear, Democrats to Republicans, that we should be stepping back from this abyss, that we shouldn't be having these confirmation hearings just 2 weeks from now. That doesn't give us enough time to thoroughly research the opinions, the writings of whoever might be nominated. That's why we shouldn't be racing ahead in this very limited period of time. But in general, as you know, Martha, I'm someone who, as the co-chair of the National Prayer Breakfast, has tried to bring forward a respectful tone here in Washington and our deliberations at all times. That's not always easy in this divided Congress and this divided nation. But I think moving ahead with this confirmation this close to the election in direct violation of the precedent set by the majority 4 years ago will simply further divide us.
All right. I want to ask you one more thing before I go, because you had called for an investigation into the John Durham investigation, which I would point out is an investigation into the investigation into the Russia issue, which the Mueller team investigated for 2 years. And that does raise some questions, especially since we don't even have a Durham report yet to criticize or to potentially investigate.
That's a lot of investigation.
Sure
My
is.
point simply was that the Inspector General, Horowitz, has already conducted a relevant and thorough investigation. Why is this additional Durham investigation necessary? That was my point.
All right. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you, Martha.
Good to have you with us as always. Thanks for